Me, mate.
Thanks, bro.
First of all, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Good friends with Andrew Tate. You've known him for many years.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff getting put out there about him. A lot of lies as well. That I will have his back at this as well. That there's never any smoke without fire. We can't be daft and just have somebody's back 1,000,000%. I get that, but a lot of stuff and accusations getting thrown around where there's no evidence, no proof. He's in prison. They've extended it. We know the corruption in Romania is like that. Has he become too powerful where they can't have him outside anymore?
Well, this is it. And this is what it is for me, you know, like the first 30-day extension, I thought, okay, maybe, maybe. But the second one, I thought, no, something's extremely wrong here. Mm-hmm. And it's easy for the media to slate him in such a way that, he looks like this super villain. So the reason why I'm here today is to give a credible source of opinion and fact on their true characters. Because I do believe that they've been treated unfairly by the media and by the justice system. And that's why I was happy when you reached out to me that, we could have a chat about this. So, and I'm happy to cover all angles.
Yeah, and that's just why we're here. This is what it's all about, is to cover all angles and question everything. I always say this stuff, but it's true, man. Life is a mad thing, and whether people get set up, tripped up, there is so much corruption goes out there. And like I say, listen, Andrew's not a saint, but he's still a man with no convictions. He's still a man who promotes a good message as well. I first had him on I was probably one of the first, nearly 2 years ago. And like, he will say to himself, he is a funny character. The majority stuff is
hilarious
jokes, and he knows he's going to get a rise. Did they think he would probably get as big as he would have? I don't know if it did.
Absolutely not.
So all that stuff that he says then comes back and bites him in the arse. But when you actually sit with him, with the cameras off, you realise how much a gentleman this man is, how much caring he is, how respectful he is as well, not just to me, but other people around us.
Very well mannered boys.
1,000,000%. And I can go with energy, and he's got a good energy. Or else people wouldn't buy into him anyway. Yeah. Before we get into everything, though, I always go back to the start of my guests. Get a bit of understanding about you, Rory, where you grew up and how it all began yourself.
Cool. Well, I grew up in Luton. It's a town where I think a lot of Irish immigration came in the 60s because a lot of them worked at Vauxhall, the car plant there. I know that Andrew's mum, she came from that same background of Irish immigration who come over for the work. Mm-hmm. And it's just a working class town where, there is poverty in the town. There are some rough areas, some rough estates. And there's also some nice parts of the town too, where, the people who have prospered have either bought in these areas of the town or they've got out ultimately. But yeah, that's where we're from, Luton. I'm 33 years old. So yeah.
You're not a boy, mate. You look 21, 22, mate.
Thanks.
You look young. You do look younger.
Yeah.
Does people say that to you?
I do hear that sometimes, but I've got plenty of platinum highlights coming through. So
say, mate, don't worry. Just for men works wonders.
It makes up for it. But so I met Andrew and Tristan when I met Andrew first, funny enough. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the platform Bebo?
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew had a profile on Bebo, and at this point, he was a British champion kickboxer. And I was actively boxing in the amateur gyms. I was no champion of any kind, but, I could throw a punch, I could take one as well. So he messaged me out of the blue one day saying, heard you can fight. I said, fucking, all right. I knew who they were. I knew who Andrew and Tristan were. I mean, they already had a reputation in the town as being the fighting brothers. And Andrew was already a troll on the internet on Bebo, and I was a troll on my page. So I think that's probably where he thought, who is this kid? So he messaged me and he asked if I could fight, and I said, well, I'd like to think so. He said, okay, cool. I'll pick you up at 8 and we'll go fight. I said, okay, cool. I thought that's a bit, out of the blue, very forward. Cool, no worries. I thought I'm never going to turn down a straightener. I love a straightener more than anyone. So he says, right, I'll pick you up at 8. And at the time, I was living at my auntie's house. I'd been kicked out of my family home because I was naughty. I was a little shit. So I was living at my auntie's house, and I looked out the window at 8 o'clock, and Andrew's sitting there in the car. So I thought, fucking hell, he's here. So I got in the car. He says, nice to meet you. Very polite. Again, he come across as a really nice guy. He says, what gym do you want to go to? We can go to the boxing gym or wherever you want. I said, well, funny enough, I got 2 day passes for David Lloyd's. It was my dad's gym. So we can use them and go there if you like. So we went down there. So we got there and we thought, okay, cool. We've got our gloves, we've got our wraps and everything. So we got ready to have a spar. And he said, do you want to do boxing, kickboxing? I said, well, obviously boxing because I've never kickboxed in my life. And with that, we put our gloves on, and within 2 rounds, he'd put me on my ass probably twice. And, you know, he kept asking me, have you had enough? I said, no, I'll decide when, you know, I've had enough. He's got up and put me on my ass again. I think after the 3rd or 4th time, he was just like, look, I think enough's enough, you know, like he's very heavy handed. And I've realized, fucking hell, this man can fight, he can bang. Yeah. So, after that, he said, look, we've only been in the gym for 15 minutes. We may as well go and do a bit upstairs. So we went on the bikes, on the exercise bikes. And on the exercise bikes, it was where we realized that we actually shared a lot in common in terms of our views and things on life and, you know, our morals and everything else. So we just clicked. We clicked instantly. And it was weird because I struggle to click with a lot of people because I just don't find myself on the same like level with them in terms of humor, in terms of sometimes intellect, you know, in lots of different ways. I find it very hard to click with people. But Andrew was one of them people who I instantly clicked with. So with that, he said, look, you know, I think you're quite a cool guy. He says, I want you to meet my brother. I said, all right, cool. Like, I knew who his brother was, obviously. So we went to a place called Hitchin, which is Hertfordshire. He had a flat there. And Tristan's going to kill me for saying this. So we walked into the flat. And when we've gone upstairs, Tristan, all I could hear was girls making orgasmic sounds from a bedroom. I said, he goes, oh, I think he's having a threesome at the minute. I said, what? Oh, okay, well, this blew my mind. I've never walked in a flat to meet someone and they're having a threesome in their bedroom. So, yeah, I went into the living room, sat down, and me and Andrew were watching TV. I think he was watching Judge Judy, which I know he likes Judge Judy now because when I got to know him, I found out he actually likes Judge Judy. So we're watching Judge Judy, and then Tristan comes out all hot and sweaty. Oh, hi, Rory, I'm Tristan. You know, I said, hi, mate, nice to meet you, you know. And then obviously after that, there is no being friends with Andrew if you're not friends with Tristan. Like that's never a demographic to anyone. So instantly I got along with Tristan because obviously he shares the same views and opinions as Andrew anyway. They're like 2 peas in a pod, you know?
They're like the one person there.
Honestly, they really are, you know, and that's because they spend more time with each other than anyone else, you know? So it's one of them things where if you don't like Andrew, you won't like Tristan and vice versa.
Why do you think they are so similar? Usually brothers, listen, a brother's bond, but they'll still love each other, no doubt, brothers, but I know many brothers that fight and argue. That they seem to have an understanding of each other. Why do you think that is?
I think that stems probably from their dad. I think their dad made them that close. I think their dad was the one who told them how important it is to have a brotherhood like that. I think obviously where their mum and dad were separated, you know, I know they lived in America and they flew back here to live in England because their mum is originally from Luton. I think they realised the importance of sticking together because they never had their dad in the home. You know, I know he used to come over and see them, but I know that they were in regular contact with their dad all the time. But in terms of living, you know, with their mum, I think they found it very important to stick together.